This is the first time she speaks, and the rest of you in the hall can't hear it. Now she's whispering right into Kelian's ears. Unless you guys have magically amplified your hearing somehow.
I
don't know, my passive perception's 24.
That's real high.
Which Kelian says, I think you think very little of my words. And no, we'll leave it at that.
Okay. She asks why you didn't bring your sword with you.
Call it a hunch.
She says that she's never seen the blade before, but she's heard its likeness described many times. And you feel the fingers travel along the back of your neck and come to rest on your other shoulder. And then you're aware of a weight on the seat next to you and a cold arm being draped across your back.
Kelian will try to wrestle his way on to be on top of her.
Try to shove her down and get on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And you do so easily. I mean, not being able to see this woman. Well, I mean, like, what are you expecting? Like, what, like, size and weight and kind of like creature are you even expecting here?
It's Bart.
Kelian, some sort of fiend, maybe a succubus.
Okay, so like a woman of slender build.
Yeah.
And you move
because obviously Kelian thinks he can wrestle her to be on top of her. So.
And her weight is even much less than you were expecting. Like if you're expecting a woman of like a moderately slender build, like I don't know how many succubi Kelian's had over the course of this campaign. I don't know what he gets up to during the weeks, like in between Sundays. Whatever. I assume he's very familiar with.
I think we're about to find out, actually.
But this woman is incredibly light, and she kind of laughs playfully as you do it, and you feel her hair blowing into your face as you kind of knock the wind out of her. And her laughter subsides. And she says that she likes it when a man is very forward.
Hey, what does her hair feel like when you're on his face?
Very wispy. Like at first you think it's just a cold breath, but then you realize it's the strands of her hair.
Okay.
Can they hear the laughter?
That's one fear crossed off my list. So getting on top, like, how, do you have her like pinned down at her arms, or how exactly you're holding her?
Straddling her, like
okay.
Using his thighs to like, and his weight to make it so that she can't move.
Okay.
And I don't even know your name.
She says that her name is Edwina Ducant, and that it seems that you have her at a disadvantage. And what will you do now? Call in your companions to make swift work of her before she's able to alert her master? She says this very playfully.
Hey, Kelian, you do you, but do you need me to, like, enhance your dexterity or something? Speed this up?
Enhance my dexterity. Oh, I'm a rogue.
That would be a Constitution roll, I would think. It's not really
Good news.
addressed in the books, but
Good news. I don't have proficiency in Constitution. But that's
I'm
neither
sure
here nor
there's
there.
a DM skill thing for that somewhere.
probably.
Yeah.
But no, she's not fighting you. She's not making any motion to push you off or anything.
If that's the case, Kelian will he'll start to take his hands, put his hands where he thinks his midriff, where her midriff should be, and start to slide them upward.
Okay. And you get your hands, there's this... You feel like she's wearing many layers of flowing robes. As she continues to laugh as this happens. What are the rest of you doing at the wall?
Oh,
We can't hear any of this, right?
yeah.
Oh, you can hear the laughter. As long as they're not
Okay.
whispering, you can hear all of this. You heard her call out, what happens now? Do your companions come in and you heard all of that. It
Right,
sounds
just
like they're in there having fun.
Yeah, right? Just turns around. I mean, her hands aren't on the wall, but I'm not going forward. Just turns around.
Okay, and you still see just blackness all around you.
So
Well,
Kelian, are you getting amorous with the skeletal zombie lady? Is that what happened next?
not yet.
Not yet.
Do you want us to give you some alone time?
yeah, we can go and visit Matsuhenshin if you'd rather stay here.
And she calls out and says, "Oh, he would have killed you by now, darling."
No,
I
so
don't know,
just-
we're pretty personable.
And she calls back out to you at the wall. As Kelian, you again feel the backs of her fingertips just moving across your face. As she's just moving back and forth across your chin and cheeks. Coming to rest on your lower lip. She calls out to you guys at the wall. And says, "Would one of you be a cheerful darling and bring me that fine sword of his?"
Oh, absolutely. I am so... Whatever speeds this up. Mahogany goes over and picks up the sword.
God damn it! Fuck!
He comes over.
Make a dexterity check.
Alright. Would it help if I looked at, like, Kelian too? Because I can pull that off.
Yeah, but aren't you like wet all the
And a
time?
20.
You manage not
Probably
to.
pulls the Dick Van Dyke.
You manage not to trip in the darkness as you walk into this extremely well furnished room. You feel around with your feet, the edge of the rug, and step over
Yeah.
it.
I'm extremely perceptive.
And
I
as you
take
get
my
to-
hand.
Go ahead. What are you doing with your hand?
The next thing he was going to do was start choking her.
Oh, get your hands around her neck.
Maybe
Yes.
she's into that.
I've been to that website. Mahogany.
Yeah.
As you reach this area where you're very aware of movement here, like you have no idea what Kelian's trying to do.
Oh, I have some idea.
But how are you holding this blade in your hand? It's right now. It's inside of the scabbard. How are you holding
Yeah,
it?
I'm just holding the scabbard, like, in one hand.
Okay, and you're aware of like a tugging on it, like somebody's grabbed the bottom edge of the scabbard.
Alright, well, don't be rude. I'll pull it back.
You
See
get
with
into
your eyes.
a tug of war with her.
Yeah.
See with your
Okay.
eyes.
And then Kelian, she slides out from under you, very smoothly. And for a moment, she doesn't say anything. You guys are just aware of each other's breathing. And Kelian's sense, very heavy breathing. Mahogany, you feel her hands for a moment too. As you feel her kind of stroking along the scabbard, feeling the ornate decorations on it when coming up to the hilt, or this tentacled kind of dragon claw hilt.
Yeah.
And then she says, well, she offers Mahogany. She asks if he would like her to lift the darkness from his eyes.
Sure.
She asks you to hold still.
You got it.
And you become aware of her thumbs pressing, not painfully, but with a little bit of force into your eyes.
Oh, whatever. If she goes a little too far, I got spares. Kelian's got him right there.
Oh, that's right. He is in his pocket there. No, but you get the sense that she's doing it very delicately. Like, this is something she's done 1,000 times before. And when you open your eyes, you can see the room around you. There's another archway leading off to the south.
Yeah.
And in the southern corner is a golden door. This door looks fairly similar to the silver one.
Yep.
But there's no actual imagery on them. There's still decoration. There still looks like the door was carved or engraved, but it's all just decorative engravements, just shapes and loops and things. It still has script on it. But looking at it from here, it's unintelligible to you. You can't tell what it says. Looking at this woman, she's incredibly frail. How tall is Mahogany?
It varies from second to second. Consider like 5'9" is like an average.
Okay. Mahogany, most seconds, easily has a head and a half on this woman. She's fairly short. And looking at her, the only parts of her body that you can see are her hands, which have this just this grayish pallor to them. And then the top half of her face, she's wearing a dark veil. She's wearing a hooded cloak and several, over top of layers of black and dark purple robes. The room you're in is very nicely furnished. This looks like a noblewoman's suite in Sigil. Nice rugs on the floor. The nice sofa that Kelian is relaxing in. Books and pieces of art lining the walls. And a 4-post bed with curtains. Back against the corner here, near the archway that you just came through.
Any nice woodwork?
The shelves and the table in front of this couch, you imagine.
Yeah, and Mahogany will just point out, I like your shelves.
And you see her tracing her finger back and forth along the hilts of this sword. And her eyes look very focused on it. She's very cold. And that's what you're aware of.
Whatever, I don't judge.
She asks you how you came by this blade.
Mahogany's got a -2 to deception. And Mahogany will just check. We got it from Terran. He said to come talk to you.
At the mention of Terran's name, she stops tracing her hand along the sword. And then she sighs and says, I suppose playtime has come to an end. And she calls back to the wall. And she invites... How many are left at the wall there? 4 of you?
4 of us.
She invites 3 of you forward, but recommends that the last one remain to guard your weapons. For she will not allow them in her room.
Riot comes forward.
Okay?
Nath, you want to?
Yeah, where's
Nath's
Kelian
gonna stay
in
back
this
with the gear then.
I guess
Kelian.
Kelian's like here.
Yeah, you're reclining on a couch on this side of the archway here.
So,
There's a couch and a table on this side. There's her bed on this side. The rest of these walls are filled with shelves and
Pull
whatnot.
myself in.
Riot kind of walks forward with her hands around, waist length to try and feel any obstruction in her way.
Right, this is exactly as funny as I thought it would be.
Liberation's doing very much the same thing.
Does anybody else take her up on her offer to remove the darkness from your eyes?
Yeah.
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 Riot, make an insight check.
Okay. Um, 24.
24. She very much doesn't like you. You can tell just by the way she touches your face. You can tell that just touching a woman makes her very uncomfortable. Like she just detests the feel of you. Nath and Liberation, not so much. But the same thing happens. The rest of you are able to see through the room.
Nath wasn't
Oh,
planning
wow.
to get his.
Oh, not Nath. Zook and Liberation.
Okay.
Yeah, let's bring Zook up here. Oh, that's a whole lot better. I'm glad we can see each other now.
Kelian looks very comical, still reclining on the couch, looking around, not being able to see anything.
Liberation grins. Name's Liberation. Nice to meet you.
She says that's a very curious name.
I'm a very curious person.
She says she likes curious people.
You're pretty curious yourself.
And for just half a second, it looks like she's going to turn in your direction, but she just decides to not even acknowledge what you've said.
Mahogany leans in real close and blows on Kelian's face.
Does Mahogany still have the sword?
Yeah.
Kelian grabs the sword.
And he can't see where it is, so he misses and
Damn
punches
it.
Mahogany in the gut. Liberation. The woman is moving towards you now. And she asks you, what is the weirdest thing you've witnessed with those devilish red eyes of yours?
Weirdest thing that I've witnessed? A tower made of meat.
And she laughs. She thinks you're joking.
Liberation's completely stone-faced.
She turns back to the rest of you. I do believe he might be serious.
Oh yeah, we were there too.
How curious indeed.
I wouldn't qualify it as the weirdest thing I've seen, but, takes all kinds.
She offers a brief apology, Kelian, for toying with you the way she did. You feel her hands on your face and her thumbs press into your eyes slightly, as you're able to then see into the room. But she says she so rarely receives interesting visitors. Usually they're the grave robber type. They're the guests of the master who I'm instructed to ignore or leave alone, or who don't want to speak to me to begin with. You're the first in many years, I shouldn't think.
Again,
We're not here.
If you got to know me, you would have a second opinion on that.
No, Zook is the enemy.
You took a... Not after you hung out with that guy.
She asks, before you enter into your illuminating conversation with her, if you would hear her warning or not.
Riot nods.
We love warnings.
She says that during the course of your chat, because she is very grateful for your presence and very interested to have good company, you may receive the impression that you and she are becoming friends. The warning, she says, is to remember that she is a servant of Destin Locke. She says that she's beyond the point in her life where she is interested in telling lies or half-truths. She is particularly fond of songs and riddles, but She is honor-bound to destroy you if you have come to bring violence against her master or this place.
How would you define violence?
She asks if you've ever seen a man disintegrated.
It's like,
Yeah, Riot looks back at Nath and says, I have seen that.
We did that one.
And she says, make no mistake, this morning is more than you would have gotten from Matsu Henshin. He is such a droll fellow. And I'm sorry if you guys are hearing banging. My guy is mowing the lawn.
That's okay.
You're banging
I
guy.
mean,
Banging guy, yeah.
Kelian says, I go both ways. I don't mind. Like, I can woo him too.
She says,
Thing to me.
if you manage to get 10 words out of Matsu Henshin that are not some dry declaration of his sworn duty and etc., that you would be the first.
Is he a paladin?
And Riot, like, bows a little bit. I accept the challenge.
And then she asks how you all came to know Terran and how you came to have his sword.
We have been in contact with old friends of his.
One of which is standing right here.
And Zook beams brightly in the room. But he's very far back against the wall. You can see he very clearly is unsettled by this woman.
Has he taken the treatment?
He has. Yeah,
Okay.
you can see.
Then, yeah, and Riot will say, old friends of his indeed. Friends who should probably no longer be alive.
And he stops beaming. 'Cause, I mean, it's been, like, yeah, he's old, but he's still a gnome. Like, he would still...
Oh, right. People age.
Do
Sorry,
they?
I forget things.
But we've come to visit him in person. We've been speaking with him through other means before.
She says that she wondered why the Master had taken such an interest in the shell of Terran's body as of late. Some sort of preparations that he was making. Most likely awaiting your arrival.
No doubt. But from what we understand, from what we've spoken with him before, it's not so easy to get to him. We need to know the names of a couple of rooms.
When Riot says that, Edwina looks at the rest of you standing in the room.
Mahogany waves.
Kelian's pulled out a cigarette, but he hasn't lit it yet.
He hasn't lit it.
Yeah.
How does he typically light his cigarettes?
I think he's got a... Let me check.
With mad.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
It's a mystery of the ages.
I mean, you don't have a magic cantrip or anything. I'm like just asking
No, definitely not.
you to strike a match or...
Probably just strikes a match.
For all I know, you just ask liberation.
You do that, you have to punch
It's
him
weird how he
first.
only smokes when Liberation's around.
And her eyes land on you as you're holding this cigarette that you haven't lit yet. And she holds up her hand and says, "We do not allow fire, darling."
Kelian raises his eyebrows, but he takes a cigarette out of his mouth and puts it away.
I like to imagine he puts it like behind his ear or something.
All right. Yeah, why not?
Slides it back there. She calls back to Nath. And she says, "I've seldom seen your like before. What are you, dearest?"
She's talking to you, Nath.
Oh, I mean, I'm a Gith. Githzerai.
Are those the brainy type?
Some of us.
Does Nath have the typical Githzerai top knot?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you all do your hair like that?
It's tradition, yes.
She calls out, she asks, and are you considered beautiful for your kind?
Not particularly.
Oh, don't say that.
She
I mean, I'm not bad looking, but
shakes her head slightly. Says, that's very much a shame. What other charms might you possess? If not
He's
your
ver-
looks.
He's very lawful.
I'm asking him, dearests.
He's very trustworthy.
She says, we will be quiet now.
oh, you know, mostly a burning hatred of Illithids.
And she, gives a friendly laugh. And she says, come now, darling. Who does not hate Illithids?
Liberation shakes his head. No, he really.
No
hates
decent
Illithids.
people.
She calls back. Have you killed more than Terran, I wonder?
That would be a conversation I'd enjoy having.
Then she turns to Riot. She says, why don't you go look over the weapons so that your friend may step forward and I can get a closer look at that interesting hair of his.
Suit yourself. I'm going to message Kelian on the way out.
Okay.
Do not let things get out of hand here.
Yeah, Kelian's the one to do that.
And then she beckons Nath forward. Riot, give me a perception check.
Oh, okay. Cool. Now that I can see.
Are you good at those?
I'm alright. Oh, it's only a 15? That sucks.
And as Nath is moving forward into the room, you're like, yeah, he's pretty good looking for a Githzerai. I've never noticed that before. All right. No. Riot, you're aware as Nath is, just as Nath moves forward, of some kind of movement off to your left, up in this room here. You can still see very clearly up into 33, up the stairs. From your position, you can see some of the pillars, and you can see where they're casting shadows into the center of the room. And you see one of the far shadows, closest to the door that you first enter, flickering. You think there's movement up in that direction.
Huh. I wonder if I'm gonna let her start talking to Nath before I start investigating that.
Okay. Nath, do you allow her to touch your eyeballs?
Sure.
You feel the pressure on your eyes for a moment.
Yeah, while she's doing that, I'm gonna go off.
Okay.
I just want her to be distracted by something.
Okay. And she dwells a lot on your face, Nath, as she's moving her ice-cold hands up and down your cheeks and feeling the contours of your bones. And she says, your kind have a very textured skin, darling.
I mean, I'd never really thought about that. It's just my skin.
It would not be a total shame if I had to kill you all. I could bind a very nice book. What are you doing when you enter that room, Riot?
What am I doing? I'm looking for that flickering shadow.
Okay.
I'm trying to investigate that.
So let me go ahead and draw out the pillars here, just so you kind of know where they are.
Yeah.
Do we have Hararis up?
We do not. Nobody asked for one.
And as we know, Riot never takes initiative.
Okay. So
You
move-
said it was like over here?
Yeah, move down at the base of the stairs and looking up, it would be somebody hiding behind one of these two pillars.
Alright, I'm gonna go look to see if I can find him.
Okay. And standing in
Do you
that
have many
position in the room,
books?
you don't.
Sorry.
Okay.
Do you have many books in your collection from the Bound in the Skin of Interlopers?
And you see her kind of fall back onto her feet a moment. She retreats her arms. And as she laughs a little bit, she says, I wasn't being serious, darling. That's positively grisly. Riot. And I suppose everybody, go ahead and roll some initiative.
I get it, grizzly skin.
God damn it, no.
Why do I bother rolling dice? Like, why?
you
Why
shouldn't.
bother?
Just
Oh
Me
man,
too today, buddy. Me
dude,
too.
McDohl. So you know the person in my group who's like I said was as bad as you?
Yeah.
He bought a dice tower because he was like, it can't make this worse. And I don't know what it made it wait. He got a nat 20 first roll. And the entire night, nothing less than 11.
So what I'm hearing is Brick needs to spawn in a dice.
You
tower.
need to get a dice tower.
Riot.
9.
A 9.
Funnily enough.
Kelian.
6.
Nice.
What?
And Liberation.
Liberation is on a 6.
On a 6.
Yeah.
Nath.
Nath at 4.
My goodness.
All right, so I was the only one sucking.
Mahogany.
Yay.
16.
All right. And Zook.
Zook is on a 23.
23. Okay.
Man, finally we have a good rogue in this party.
I'm a good rogue.
You're a great rogue. You're much more roguish than Zook.
He was more thiefish. Okay, we'll just go ahead and shrink all these guys down. Boop. Okay, cool. Probably shrunk him down a little too far, but that's okay. Goodness, tabletop's being really jittery today for some reason. Riot.
Yep.
Well, first of all, Zook, you're surprised. Mahogany, you're also surprised. You guys now have no indication that anything else is happening. When you came up the stairs, did you bring any of your weapons with you? Did you grab your fork or anything else?
No, that's what I'm doing now. Is I'm looking up to see what spells I can cast as purely verbal and / somatic.
Okay. You're not surprised because you expected something to be behind this pillar, and so there is. What you see is this one here. I guess I'll give him a different color real quick. Make him red. Why not? This red one is a man-sized creature, but it's incredibly bizarre. This thing is like Uncanny Valley personified. Its joints are in the wrong places. You see that it has a sword in one hand, but the way he's holding it, like it's not gripping the sword the way that you typically grip it. It's like his palm is face up and forward, and he's kind of got his fingers snaked around the hilts, and one of them is up over the crossguard and is snaked around the blade itself, just clumsily gripping this
That's
sword.
a bad way to hold a sword.
Its face looks more or less human, but its eye sockets are just, they look like the doors that you open to get in here. Behind him and to the side, you see these tiny little imp-like creatures. They look like tiny, like full-grown humans, only 8 or 9 inches tall. Just these horrible, naked little skittering things. And their flesh looks like a standard human flesh tone, but he's covered in some kind of bizarre slime that gives it this very sickly hue. And that's what you see when you peek around the corner. Or these 3 things are kind of huddled back behind this giant pillar.
All right.
And you're up.
Did they see me?
Oh, they absolutely see you
Okay.
as you peek around the pillar.
I'm going to hold an action, cast Produce Flame, which is verbal somatic, and say, "Ho there, stay back." And if any of them gets closer to me, that's the trigger. Is if any of them gets closer to me, I'm going to cast Produce Flame.
So you say stay back, and then if they start to advance, you're going to cast Produce Flame.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one absolutely is about to advance. So go ahead.
Okay. Then, yeah. Let's see. This is slightly less to hit because I don't have my guitar with me, so it's 1 off the roll. But it's still pretty good. How's a 19 do?
19 will hit.
Okay. And that is at the moment 48. So grab some d8s.
Good news, everyone. The line tool gives you 5-foot squares on this map.
How loud
Or
did
5
you?
foot.
How loud did you say that, Riot? When you said
Oh,
Stay back.
I guess I would have said it in like a normal voice. 'Cause I know that you can hear.
okay, then you guys at the base of the stairs, you can barely make out Riot at the top, having said something. You couldn't make out the actual words because she's up around the corner and 20 feet up some stairs. But you heard her speak, and glancing back, you don't see her over top your pile of weapons anymore.
Ah, Christ.
That's 22 fire damage.
22 fire damage.
As Riot Blade realizes that Edwina told us no fire.
Well, that was in her room. You're not in her room anymore.
That's true.
Okay.
I'm sort of in a room. I'm in a room that was marked hers on the map.
And he continues to brandish this sword in just this bizarre way. But when he gets within range of you, he's lightning quick with it. Well, let's see if he actually hits, and then we'll decide whether he's good with this sword. I got an 11,
Misses.
and I've got a 14.
That would hit. Well, let's just let it hit. Let's just see what happens.
Okay, and he slashes out with this sword, and he's not doing a standard swing like you've seen a million times.
Mhm.
He's wielding it like it's a extension, like it's a part of his body, like a particularly large claw coming out of the front of his arm. And he's gonna do 8 points slashing damage
Okay.
as one of these 2 slashes bites into you. And then the little bastards dart forward. Both of them do. Got a 7
That misses.
and a 15.
That will hit.
So all they try to do is run up and jump at you, and you squirrel out of the way of the first one, and it slaps wetly against the ground next to you. The second one managed to get a hold of your leg, and this sticky substance just coats the outside of your robes. And it's it's like stuck on there. No damage or anything.
Huh.
Hearing some of the commotion up the stairs, Edwina looks to you all and says, "The welcoming party has arrived. Please do return once you've dealt with them." And then she starts moving back over to the couch. Kelian, you're up. Anybody who moves past this square can pick up your weapons and whatever without using an action. I'm not going to make you bend over and pick one up.
Alright, let's pick up my crossbow. And cunning action. Alright.
So grab your crossbow and move up to the archway.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Liberation.
Let's see. 55 will get me there next to Kelian after obviously picking up the staff and X.
Grab your staff and your axe. Okay.
Yep. And then key point to move over here. And the one right here is the one that's latched, like, gooped onto Riot's leg.
You can attack either one of them because they're both within 5 feet of you there. One's standing next to her and one's grabbed onto her leg.
All right, I'll swipe the staff at the one on Riot's.
Okay. Roll to hit.
And here we go.
Don't have to roll particularly high. I mean,
that was a nat 20.
You can if you want, but I'm just letting you know that's kind of a waste of a 20, considering some of the stuff you're going to be fighting in this dungeon.
I know, right? Okay, that was.
And you crack this thing with your staff, and you knock it free of Riot's leg. Riot, you hear a tear as the sticky substance on this thing is adhered to your robe so much. This thing's not able to leave without tearing a chunk out of it. But he whacks this thing with a stick, and it crashes against the ground and splats and dies.
I'm not certain my robes can be torn.
Oh, probably not. They're magic, aren't they?
Yeah, they're protected against like wear and tear and whatnot, and I think dirt too.
Oh, this isn't dirt. This is crazy adhesive slime.
No, I understand that, but
But no, Liberation has stepped forward and given this thing a good jolly whack, knocked it to the ground. It's dead. It's all its little bones are broken. It's
Yeah.
kind of sad, actually. Little naked slime man. It's too bad. It's bald. It's disgusting. Kelian ending or Liberation ending there.
Yeah.
Nath, what's good with you?
All right, so Nath will move back up the passageway. Don't need to grab my staff because this is just verbal and somatic. And let's go ahead and this one gets to make. Ooh, I think I have a higher spell DC now.
Do you need line of sight for whatever you're doing?
Yeah.
You don't
But
have
I
line of
cannot
sight
see
from
him
the
from there?
base of the stairs. No, from the top you could.
Oh, okay. Where's the darkness end? At the top.
Well, it's not the darkness.
not-
It's you're
yeah.
20 feet below.
Oh, okay.
Looking up these steep stairs.
In that case, I'll have to spend my action to move. So I'll grab my staff. Kelian, you already got your crossbow? Are there any spare weapons sitting here that people haven't grabbed?
Kelian grabbed his weapon, and Liberation grabbed his staff and his axe.
Okay,
right
yep,
stuff's
then
still on there.
I'll grab the trident and 10, 15, 20, 20, 30, move to here.
Nath gets to the top of the stairs. Here, catch! And he whips it at you. All right, what does Zook do?
Zook. Let's see. It's 10 or 5. 10, 20, 30 cunning action, and 20. Scoop up his weapon himself.
Okay.
Let's see, does he have line of sight to that guy?
I would give that guy 3/4 cover. Because this guy's behind a pillar, but he's not, like, taking cover behind the pillar. He's engaged in combat with Riot.
And
But it's a weird angle, and you've got to shoot through Liberation to get there.
don't have Kelian's trick shot.
So he just gets an AC bonus.
Yeah, it gets a +5 AC bonus.
All right.
So you're shooting Red Man?
Yeah, Red Man.
Okay. It's a little bit racist, but go ahead.
Well, let's see,
No,
Red Man or Method
Red
Man.
Man. Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, here we go. Ha! Let's see. First
See,
attack
this is
bonus
exactly why I gave Zook a trait called Unbelievable Luck when I was playing him. So shit like this wouldn't happen.
That is a 16 to hit.
16 does not hit, actually.
Okay,
The arrow just clatters against the wall. Oh, by the way, Zook's quiver has 20 arrows in it.
sure.
And I don't think this says this on his stat block, but you can assume that his arrows count as magic weapon.
Okay.
Does that mean they don't break when he shoots them?
No, because magic ammunition, when you fire it, becomes non-magical once it's fired.
Okay.
Most likely he's shooting regular ammunition from a bow. You don't get any pluses for his bow, because plain stuff, but you can assume it's a magical weapon.
Sure.
Mahogany.
Alright, I'm gonna head over.
And being the last one to leave the room, she calls out, "Don't be long, darling."
Yeah, we don't take very long with this stuff. We're good at this stuff. Picks up the staff, heads up here.
Your staff or the Thunder and Lightning staff?
My
have
staff.
that
I don't
one.
give a shit about Thunder and Lightning staff. I do pick up
Well,
Riot's
we can
guitar
take that
though.
Oh, that's
Thank
right.
you.
Liberation got that. So Riot sees her gear coming up the stairs, and you're stopping. You can't
That's
stop there.
as far
There's,
as I can get.
there's no room for you to stand there. There you go.
Chicka chicka.
Riot, you're up again.
Okay. Rat's gonna cast Sacred Flame on Red Man here.
Okay.
He's got to make a dexterity save.
All right. How about a 5?
No.
No?
How about not?
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
Okay. So another 48 of radiant damage.
I'm a bard now.
21 radiant.
21. And moving or staying put?
Staying put. I'm not very scared of these guys.
Okay. Riots.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 21
Mm-hmm.
and a 13.
The 13 misses.
16 points slashing damage.
Oh,
I'm gonna suck all of that into the ward.
Okay. As this slash seems to... One of the misses, but the second one seems to cut much deeper than the first.
No consequence.
Rolled real bad on that first roll. You got real cocky, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, this guy's fine. It's whatever.
The other one here. Liberation. Call odds or evens.
Evens.
Evens. Oh, all right. That's what you. That's what you want to do with your bad self. I got a 7 to hit liberation.
Just misses.
Just misses. Wait, we have Red Man and Method Man. As little tiny Method Man leaps up, just trying to grab hold of you, and you just put your back against the pillar, and he just lands wetly on the other side. That's going to bring us to Kelian.
I'm gonna shoot Red Man.
Shoot Red Man. Okay.
That's a real nice hop on that dice roll.
That is a 25.
Okay, go ahead and roll damage on that. He is 5 feet away from Riot.
Wish I could get sneak attack with the sword. That'd be really nice. Oh, I pulled out a d20. That's not what I want to pull out. Oh, alright, so... That is... 40 damage.
40 how much?
5.
Ooh, no more Red Man. As you just put a bolt in him, he falls over backwards, and his sword goes clattering to the ground next to Riot.
No, actually, I'm gonna stay behind this pillar.
Right, Liberation, you're up.
Yeah, let's give Method Man the old what for?
The old what for?
Yeah,
The old 1-2.
the old 1-2. Yeah, how does a 15 do?
15 will hit. And you don't need to roll damage. These things have 1 HP.
Okay.
And you just crush this thing. And putting force on this thing with your stick, I mean, it gives very, very little resistance. It just feels like crushing an insect.
I feel gross.
And then the room falls silent.
Right, dust herself off, cast mending on her robe, starts walking back toward Edwina.
Rishon sets his gear, his weapons down
Oh yeah, right.
against the wall.
Actually, Riot didn't pick up any of her stuff. Other people have all got Riot stuff.
Mahogany's already playing like a very, very badly done song on your guitar.
Nath will carefully put the fork down in the corner, along with his own staff.
Right, look, I'm a bard.
I imagine
Yeah.
Riot's the type to booby trap her guitar, so all of Mahogany's fingers have been sliced off at this point.
That is a property of a bunch of the instruments of the bards. They will I think they cause damage to you if you try to play them and you're not a bard.
I'll drop everything back over here.
Who's gonna watch over the gear while we continue?
Oh,
our
that was
conversation?
supposed to be me. Right.
Either Riot or Zook will volunteer to do it. I'll leave it
Zook
to you
can do it
guys.
then. Well, yeah, let's have Zook do it. He's terrible at talking to people.
And he can just pick up the crossbow and shoot it at anything.
And walking back into the room, Riot has 1 visible wound. The second wound, Nath 8, right?
Yeah.
So Riot has 1 visible wound from that thing's sword strike. And Edwina looks up, and she kind of chuckles to herself a little bit. She says, "The Master's welcoming party is indeed relentless. I fear that during your stay in this place you will never be free of them."
Well, Riot says, I didn't even bother to grab my stuff before I left, and I still took out 2 of them.
She says that you had mentioned that you need to know the names of some of the rooms in this place.
Right.
She says, say that I were inclined to sell them to you. And when she says you, she looks at the menfolk in the party and not so much Riot.
Mm-hmm.
She says, would you strike a bargain with her, or do you intend to... And she kind of feigns fear for a moment. She kind of feigns apprehension when she says, or do you intend to beat it out of me?
Oh, I mean, we strike bargains with everyone. We compromise our morals every day in this group.
What's your price?
She points at the 4 men.
Nath will glare at Mahogany when he says that.
And she
Mahogany
says,
shrugs.
if each of you tell her a secret that nobody else knows, she will give you the name of 1 room each. And she cautions you. She says, the master is the untrustworthy sort, and I do not have knowledge of every place in the complex. But I do know a fair amount. And I do so like secrets.
Kelian wastes no time and says, no deal, and starts walking away.
Walking away. What about the other 3?
Mahogany raises a hand. I got one that'll piss him off. That'll count for his too.